It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview Shane, the owner of JapanBall Sports Blog. How are you doing today?
Hey, Brandon, I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
That's wonderful. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to start your own sports blog?
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved baseball, and I was into the international aspect of baseball, and that's what my professional work was prior to working with JapanBall. And the JapanBall is much more than a sports blog. We offer tours, we offer news and information about Japanese baseball. So I had the opportunity to start working with them a couple of years ago, so it was kind of presented to me. And as soon as I started interacting with JapanBall, I knew it was something I wanted to stick with, because it's like formalizing your love for baseball.
Can you talk about, of course, the blog part of Japanese ball and what that is?
Yeah, so on JapanBall, the blog aspect is a way to spread some articles of interest and also helpful informative articles about Japanese baseball and international baseball in general, just because there's a lot of American fans who love the game and they know baseball is going on in Japan. So we try to orient our content more towards fans who are just kind of curious about the Japanese game, or maybe want to monitor it from afar. And maybe not the super hardcore fans, even though we like to have them aboard too, but there's other places that really get in depth, and we try to be accessible to just the casual baseball fan as well.
Can you talk about what happens on the baseball tour?
Yeah, on our baseball tours, we visit, we have tours to different countries. We'll start with Japan because that's the focus of our business, and that's our primary location that we go to. But we'll go, if you do the entire tour, which a handful of people do every year, we'll see all 12 NPB, which is Japan's version of Major League Baseball. We'll see all 12 of their ballparks in one trip. Of course, that's a little bit long. It takes close to 3 weeks, and not everyone can do that. So we also offer just to do a portion of that tour where you can see maybe 5 or 6 ballparks, or even less, or a little bit more. You can kind of piece the tour options together, and we'll see the country of Japan, experience a new culture through our familiar and beloved game of baseball.
Can you talk about, of course, traveling to like different baseball stadiums and blogging about them?
Yeah, I mean, going to different baseball stadiums as someone who loves baseball and sports is the best. I mean, I think it's a great way to experience a new culture, or even in the US, if you're based in the US, seeing a new city, you kind of get a feel for what the locals are like. They have their guard down, they're relaxed, they're having a good time, maybe having a drink or two, and you can really kind of get an experience that's unique to that area. And you tend, if you're an outsider and people know it, then I find in the sporting environment, then it's a very welcoming crowd. So yeah, it's just a really fun experience, a great way to experience a new place. And then, writing about it and posting on it's fun, just so you can share the experience with other baseball fans and sports fans around the world.
What stadiums have you visited before?
Oh man, I've been to a lot of stadiums. I actually was working on a list recently, and in the United States, I've counted 17 major league ballparks that I've been to, including a couple of the old versions of parks. So really 15 different teams, I guess, in 17 parks. So half of the major league teams I've seen play in their home park, which is nothing to brag about compared to a lot of people who come on our trips have seen all 30 and much more than that. But and then as far as different countries, I was also trying to come up with a list of the countries I've been to. Of course, Japan. I've been to all 12 of the ballparks there in Japan, all 12 of the major professional ballparks and some other smaller ones too. And then I've been to, for baseball purpose, I've been to 18 countries in total, I counted. Not all of them, those countries, of course, have major professional ballparks, but if you count out all the countries I've been to for baseball purposes, it's getting close to 20. And I don't think I can count all the specific parks, including in the U.S., minor league parks, college stadiums. There's a lot of them, and I haven't kept track as some other people do that I'm very impressed by.
Can you talk about your experience whenever you were working with the Arizona Diamondbacks?
Yeah, that was a great experience because it was just out of college, and it was my first exposure to the inner workings of professional baseball. And I was working with their farm team in the High A California League. And so I was just out of college, and most of those players at that level are around the same age. So it was really fun kind of riding the bus, having that minor league experience. I was doing video work and some scouting stuff, helping the advanced scouts and charting the games and whatnot. And so although I wasn't playing, I did get to have a little bit of that minor league experience. And it was a great way to kind of see how the game works from the professional side, and definitely inspired me to want to continue to try to work in baseball.
What is it like whenever you go to new stadiums during the season? Of course, before the COVID.
Yeah, I mean, it's always exciting going to a new stadium. That first sight when you catch a glimpse of the field and you see that green grass is really exciting. I mean, it gives me a feeling of joy and comfort and excitement when you kind of first step into the stadium and maybe get to the top steps or enter the tunnel, whatever it is, and you see that new ballpark. And the field is always glistening and familiar, and then it's really fun to walk around the park and get a feel for the different features of it and the fans. And it's just a festive, lighthearted atmosphere all the time at a ball game, maybe unless you're in some countries, in some cities like New York or Philadelphia. But either way, it's still, it's a great feeling. And I've loved that I get to do that with for my job, and I get to experience it with lots of other people who get equally excited as I do.
Can you talk about, of course, your time in the MLB office for 8 years, in the commissioner's office?
Yeah, I mean, so I followed that after the Diamondbacks job. Like I said, the Diamondbacks really inspired me to want to stick in the game. And so I got a job at MLB working first in their Santo Domingo office in the Dominican Republic. And that was such an exciting experience to live in a new country, work on my Spanish, and be in a country where baseball is the national passion. It's let alone the national pastime. It's really the main thing going on there. So that was a great experience. And then I moved up to the New York office after a couple of years in the DR. And once again, it's just a great way to experience baseball from a unique perspective and travel the world. A lot of those countries that I alluded to earlier, I went to them in the capacity of my job at MLB, and it was, sometimes it was not as fun just because you're working at a desk in a cubicle and whatnot, just like any other office job. But I'd rather be doing spreadsheets about baseball players and stadiums and rosters than I would be doing spreadsheets about something more boring, I guess. So it was great in that sense.
What have you learned now that you didn't know before you started your sports blog?
I would say that there's a lot of things, but I guess the communal aspect that the shared passion such as baseball can bring, and although baseball is such a big global sport, and of course has a long history in the United States and in other countries around the world, it really lends itself to a community. And I think baseball is a very unique sport, and those who love the game tend to have, they come from different backgrounds and different mindsets. But if you love baseball, I think that it says something about yourself that I can't really put a finger on what that is, but it means that we're going to get along. So, I just really enjoyed the community aspect of the game and of the business that I'm working with now at JapanBall. It really helps in that area as far as bringing people together, and I've really enjoyed that.
What advice would you give upcoming sports blogs looking to get started?
Well, I mean, if anyone is looking to start, I'd say that the first thing to do is just to start putting something out there and start, don't be afraid to start, because for me, when I took over JapanBall, I didn't really know what I was doing, and I started social media accounts. I started posting articles, and the more you do it, the more you learn, and people are receptive and will, I alluded to that community earlier. People will be supportive, they'll give you feedback, and you'll learn along the way. And you never know what it could become. And if it doesn't, the great thing about a sports blog or a sports site or whatever it is you're doing, even if it's just a social media account, is even if it doesn't turn into something big, you're doing it because it's something that you enjoy. So it's going to be the end result is always going to be something that you're satisfied with because you're enjoying the process. So I'd say just get started, and then you don't know how far it could take you, and you're going to be happy regardless of how far it takes you.
That's wonderful. Where can my listeners find, of course, the JapanBall at on social media?
Yeah, so we have, first of all, we have our website, JapanBall.com. We're going to release a new website here really soon, but it's still JapanBall.com. And you can access that now. You can sign up for a newsletter, which is a good way to stay in tune with what we're doing, including our tours especially. And then we're on Twitter and Facebook at JapanBall, and on Instagram at JapanBall Travel. So I encourage any of your listeners to check those out, and you can learn about Japanese baseball, international baseball, and hopefully catch a ball game with us in a country around the world.
Thank you again, Shane, for your interview, and best of luck with JapanBall, the sports blog.
You're welcome, Brandon. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.